Good morning, guys. Hope you're doing well. Today, I just want to talk about where I've been and why I haven't been posting. So, to kind of give a little bit of a background, basically, in June, I had a conversation with an entrepreneur that I really respect, and he's around 6 years older than me. And I was asking him about, balancing personal versus business life. And, uh, for him, his answer was he had no expectation on his personal life. That, um, he's 33 and he's single, but that even if at 40, he was single, um, that wouldn't affect him. That, essentially, if he finds a partner, great. If he, you know, finds a partner that wants to have kids, great. But if it doesn't happen, it's not going to bother him. Um, and that his main goal really was to, get his company to, say, a $10 million valuation, sell it for 100, and then not have to work for the rest of his life. Um, and his company, I think, currently is at a $2 to $3 million rate, so it would take some years to get to that point. Um, and it was interesting having this conversation with this individual because, for me, obviously Grateful Living, when it first started, I went into it thinking maybe 3 or 4 people would tune in. Um, I'd lost a friend of mine to suicide the year before, and so I was just really trying to think about, um, how I could create change. And you listen to some of the great um, leaders in world history, um, you know, and they always talk about, having accountability towards yourself. Mahatma Gandhi has this quote, be the change you wish to see in the world. And so that's kind of how I looked at it, was let me just try to create change from where I am with whatever platform that I have with my personal, friends on Facebook and Instagram and things like that. And, so my attitude always was, I'll see what I can commit. Hopefully, do one um, audio podcast a week or whatever, and maybe 3 or 4 people will tune in. And um, from the beginning, it's kind of different. That first episode, I don't know what the numbers are now, but when it first released, within I think a week, it had 105 people that tuned in. And as time went on, again, I don't remember the exact numbers, but over a 2 year period, the YouTube channel, for example, along with the audio channels, had garnered over 60,000 views. And that wasn't something that I was expecting when I initially started. And so I think, part of the reason that I stayed committed to it was there was this vision of, you know, maybe let's see where you can take this. Can you get to a point where, you're getting, whatever, a lot of views or things like that, and you can really make an impact, you know, and, show the world, you know, who Pat, my friend was, and, people will know his name, and all in the benefit of people, having a better, grasp on their own wellness, their own mental health, things like that. Um, and so I think that's why, I part of the motivation uh, was, let's see where we can take it. And that's why, part of the reason I did stay so committed to it. Um, and then, you know, when I had that conversation in June with this entrepreneur, it was a little bit of a reflection point because, um, I was going on 2+ years of committing myself to grateful living and to this thing, which I love, but, I'm having to commit to this after, my full-time job. And so, I don't have a lot of time, to myself, or maybe socially, as much time I'm not giving to it. Um, and I apologize for this being so like all over the place and not well. I'm just kind of speaking from my heart. So it might not always line up in terms of the way I'm speaking, but um, you know, I think what I'm trying to say is, that conversation was a good reflection point for me because I didn't have the same viewpoint as that, entrepreneur that I was speaking to. Um, for me, I have goals within my personal life, and things like that are important to me. Whether it be friendships, relationships, things like that, um, where I do want to give time to it, and I want to, you don't often control in life the results of things like that, but you do control your effort in terms of how good of a friend you're being, or how much time you're giving to your social life. Um, and, there were a couple other things that I would go on this, that, in August I went to a wedding for one of my friends, and um, it was the first time I'd kind of taken some time off from work and some time, and with the pandemic and all that, um, outside of normal weekends, just it was, you know, um, I had to travel to a certain place and uh, be there, and I was commenting to a friend of mine, like, it was those first 2 days, it was tough for me to relax, because I was just um, so used to being, my whole life scheduled out. It was like work, then come home and exercise, then shower, eat dinner, then you do grateful living, and then maybe you relax for a little bit, then you sleep. And then weekends, it's a lot of grateful living involved in terms of prep and stuff like that. Um, and so, like, my weeks were completely scheduled out in terms of, I was posting 7 days a week, so I would try to have, you know, on a certain day the next week's thing done. Um, and I think, you know part of that commitment to it was, I just, when you lose, I've known 3 people that have passed to suicide, and One of those, Trevor, passed, in July of 2020. Um, Prior to that, I was maybe posting 3 times a week, and after Trevor's passing, I committed to 7 days a week, because there's just this element of, uh, when things like this happen to you, and I know people deal with grief in different ways, but for me, it's always action oriented. It's just, you want to create a change. You never want people to feel the pain that you or other friends and family are feeling off of losing someone. And so that's, it was like August of 2020 when I started doing the 7 days a week thing, after Trevor's passing. And, uh, I guess ultimately what I'm trying to say is, I just felt, that the way I was going, even when I look at, there were probably 2 opportunities during the time that I was doing Grateful Living to maybe get into a relationship or explore that. And I wasn't in that headspace to accept that ideology, just because I was so committed to this thing and trying to see, can we make a change? Um, and ultimately, I think the main thing that in the months that I've done of reflection is just, I don't have the mindset of my friend who's the entrepreneur. Um, I'm not committed at that level where I want, like, there to be costs and sacrifices at that level to my personal life. And another funny story I have is, like, I remember asking, like, 2 of my friends one time at a dinner, like how do you guys look at relaxation? Like, how many hours a week do you think you guys need to relax, or how do you schedule that in? And again, it goes to that, um, I was just so locked into this commitment that, like, I would look at relaxation as a number of hours game. Like, oh, okay, I'll be good with like 2 hours on a Saturday and 2 hours on a like, that was the level that I was at, and it produced beautiful results for people and things like that. Um, but in terms of who I was able to get on the podcast and things like that, and from the exterior, it doesn't look bad, but I mean, it's a commitment, um, and for the individual doing the commitment, their wellness and mental being is not always, um, priority. When you've committed to 7 days a week and you do it for 2 years, 2+ years of posting 7 days a week, like, you just have to ignore certain things. And obviously there are, for your own wellness, because you just are so disciplined, but there's also aspects of not being as good of a friend as you can be, or whatever it is. And I remember, there's another story. I went to New Orleans with some friends, um, and, like, we went out for dinner, and stuff like that. And uh, I remember, we were just exploring different streets after dinner and walking around the city and stuff like that. I remember leaving early, and I came to the Airbnb we were staying at, and I recorded a vlog. And like, that's where I was. Like, that was the level of commitment I was at, where it was like, even while I'm on vacation with friends, I'm, you know, and it wasn't like I wasn't giving. I gave my time to, my friends just wanted to stay out a little later. It wasn't like I wasn't giving my time to my friends. I was giving my time to my friends, but it was, once I get back, what's on my mind is grateful living, and is recording a vlog for, the channel and stuff like that. And so, um, again, I know this is all jumbled up and not always timeline, linearly said. I didn't give myself notes for this one. But all that to say, I just want to thank everybody that has been a part of supporting me, whether that's liking, commenting, texting me, introducing me to a guest or being a guest or whatever it was. Like, I still love Grateful Living. I tell people, it part of the reason I was able to commit so much was it never felt like a job, or it never felt like I was so happy doing it, because it had so much purpose behind it. It just, when you have a full-time job and then you're also doing that, it's hard to, you're not giving yourself a lot of time. So, I guess essentially to sum up, for personal reasons and to give myself more time in my personal life, that's why I've stepped back, and I'll continue this pause, Grateful Living. I've spoken to, and thank you to the people that have checked in, said, where have you been, or what's going on. Notice you haven't been posting. In terms of interviewing people, I don't know whether I'll do that. I've talked to a couple of close friends and stuff like that, and people have said, even if you post once a month, that'd be great, or whatever you feel like doing. So that's something I will definitely think about. Again, when you're at this level of commitment, in general, I'm someone that either likes to do things 100% or not do them. But I do see value in maybe, posting every so often when I feel like it. If I have thoughts in my head about what's going on with the world, even once a month, just doing some video like this. So I may do that, but I just want to update people on where I'm at. And just want to say, if you have any feedback, feel free to text me, or get a hold of me or message me. I respect all of your opinions and would gladly receive it. I'd love to continue doing what I was doing, but it's just hard, especially the podcast element of reaching out to guests. I'd have to, maybe reach out to 100 people and maybe get 3 yeses from that, And again, I'm not complaining about any aspect of the process. I'm just talking about the commitment it takes, and obviously the guests that I was getting were awesome, but you just have to be willing to put in that time and stuff like that. And I think, being that unbalanced, especially for someone who's telling people to have good wellness and to take care of yourself, somewhat hypocritical. And so, but yeah, that's where I'm at. If you have any other questions, let me know. Happy to answer them. But hopefully that answered it. Just trying to give more time to my personal life. And, again, I apologize to, I know that there were regular listeners and viewers tuning in, and I really appreciate you, and I apologize that I'm not here to provide that perspective, or, just provide my perspective, or whatever it is. I apologize for that. I just hope you understand why I can't commit to it as much. for my own well-being, and hopefully that you're okay with that. But like I said, feel free to give me any ideas or thoughts that you may have. I really appreciate all of you. Thank you for everything.